Yeah.
It's Halloween. Here we go. Let's see if I can turn the camera around. There we go. Hey. Shall we start a Halloween walk? Might as well, mightn't we?
Yeah, might as well.
Might as well.
Might as well indeed.
Okay, welcome to Chatty Walks with Angela. We are streaming live at the moment, and I don't know if you can see there, that is Oxford Street. So we are right at the bottom of Oxford Street, or the top, depending on your point of view. And if I turn around, very noisy, we're on a traffic island. That is Edgware Road. You're just about to see that on the sign there. And why am I on a traffic island at the bottom of Edgware Road and Oxford Street? It's because of this here. Hey there, Ibrahim. Nice to see you. Yes, I am indeed live, and I am just showing you the site of the Tyburn tree. What is the Tyburn tree? Was it a tree? Yes, it was a tree. Technically, it was a tree. Hey from Canterbury, glad to see you're at home today. I hope you're relaxing, Ibrahim. And so here we are at the site of the Tyburn tree. And should I be scared? Because should there be ghosts? If this was the location of the Tyburn tree, literally tens of thousands of people lost their lives here. Tens of thousands of people on approximately this spot were meeting their final end as they were hung from the gallows. Now I'm going to walk, I'm going to think I'll catch this green man. Wait a sec, let me just catch the green man to cross the road here. Because it's quite busy, and if you get a chance to cross, you might as well cross. So let me tilt the camera up slightly. Just wait a sec. There we go. Looking at a tree. There we go. And if you look in that direction, off to the Spirit of Christmas at London Olympia on Thursday. Okay, lovely. And we are looking straight at Marble Arch, which has got something over it at the moment. I'm not quite sure what's going on with Marble Arch right now. Somebody knows, put it in comments. So yes, why am I hanging around with an ambulance going past? Let's let the ambulance go past a moment. There it goes. So the Tyburn tree was London's premier hanging location. So if you were the creme de la creme of English, London, whatever, criminality, and if you stolen cattle or murdered someone, and a lot of other things in between, you would meet your death here. You would actually come from Newgate Prison. So let me just show you along here. Oxford Street used to be called Tyburn Street, where that bus is just about to go. And dodgy criminals, and also some religious martyrs. Wait a minute. That ambulance has gone round in a circle. I think it must have missed its turn up Edgware Road. Anyway, it's gone now. So if you had stolen cattle, or if you had killed someone, and as I said, anything in between, you would have come along Oxford Street, and it was called Tyburn Lane, Tyburn Street then. And there's another ambulance going. Sorry, I know it's not funny for the people requiring the ambulance. Sorry, I'm not laughing at like people that need an ambulance. It's just like so noisy. Anyway, many a prisoner lost their life here. So let me tell you about what would have happened here as I move a little bit towards Marble Arch. So here were the King's Gallows, or the Tyburn tree, or the Tyburn Gallows, you can call it what you like. And this was a site all around here. This would have been full of crowds. So on execution days, absolutely full of crowds. It was like, for the big sort of hangings, it was a public holiday. So this whole area would have been awash with people here to witness people being hanged for their crimes or as religious martyrs. And this site, this exact site here, was operational for 650 years. As I said, it was the main location for public executions in London. So it being Halloween, and probably, you know, maybe a few dead bodies hanging around under the ground here. So I did hear they kind of dropped a lot of bodies just under the ground. Let's start with the gore, shall we? So executions were taking place here from 1196 to 1783. By the way, when the area became gentrified. So it sort of went up market around here. And by the way, public order, there wasn't a lot of it for hangings. Okay, so for the executions, it was a party-like atmosphere and people had a good time. Getting to know, cheer on, things like that. People that were here to lose their lives in effect. So this was actually a village area. And this whole Marble Arch area was actually the sort of crossing point of an old Roman road. So there was a Roman road that ran from Essex through to Hampshire along what is now Oxford Street. And then it crossed over Tyburn Lane, ran north to south. Sorry, south to north, whichever way you want to call it. And that is now Park Lane. So this was a really busy spot. And it started off as a tree. And then it became a fairly substantial triangular frame. And the benefit of that triangular frame, I'm going to point you back in that direction. Oh, yep, I see you, Ibrahim. In a few weeks we'll be taking an open air classic bus. Christmas lights, that's a really good idea, actually. So in 1571, they actually put together a permanent frame here. It's called the Triple Tree. And it could hang up to 24 people at a time. 24 people at a time could be hung here. I don't think they did that very often. I think generally it was sort of up to about 3 or something like that they would hang here. Right, let's cross over. We've got a green man. We're crossing towards Hyde Park. Tens of thousands of people would have met their end here. And records from the 1570s report that 704 criminals. Camera resolution has dropped. Thanks, Ibrahim, for letting me know. It's going to come and go a bit, I suspect. I think it's partly the traffic. It's absolutely jam-packed around here. Let's just keep going. Yes, so some 704 criminals in a decade in the 1570s were sentenced to be hanged here. As I said, if you killed somebody, you could be hanged here, but if you stole cattle, you could equally be hanged here. And as I said, every range of crimes in between. They even, did you know this, they even exhumed the bodies of Oliver Cromwell and his crew. So they exhumed them from Westminster Abbey, because you know they sort of had that whole "we're a republic" takeover and killed off Charles I. So Charles II, once he got back in command, exhumed the bodies of Oliver Cromwell and had them hung right here. Okay, right here. And then he chopped the head off. It's all lovely, isn't it? That's what I thought. Nice Halloween tale of gore. So he chopped off Oliver Cromwell's head and he put it on a pole. And the impaled head of Oliver Cromwell was displayed at Westminster Hall, right outside the Houses of Parliament. And it remained there until 1703. It's unbelievable. It lasted for a really long time. And then it got blown off in a windstorm. Maybe the sort of windstorm we're due to have tomorrow. I think Thursday is supposed to be really, it's really windy here tomorrow. So the head did become mouldy, I should say. So over that 40-year period, the head got mouldy, but stuck around till it got blown away. And it is now buried at Sydney Sussex College, Cambridge, where it's been since the 1960s. So there you are, the mouldy tale of Oliver Cromwell's head being cut off from his body after he was removed from his burial place and actually popped onto the gallows. One night in 1678. Hello, happy Halloween to Falcon. Nice to see you here. Thank you for coming. So nice to see you. Yes, one night in 1678. Was it ghosts? as the gallows fell down, uprooted by its ghosts, because, you know, loads of bodies and everything, according to popular gossip. And so it's supposed to be haunted all the way around here. Now, here's an interesting thing. We're sort of approaching Speaker's Corner. The history of Speaker's Corner probably comes from the gallows here. So I'm just going to point you back at Marble Arch. As you can see, there's a bit of work going on Marble Arch at the moment. So the history of Speaker's Corner probably started because when criminals were hung here, they were expected to put on a bit of a show. They were expected to be pretty proud of what they'd done. The crowd was often on their side because the poor sort of saw the law as there to keep them down. So they quite often, like Gentleman Jack, Honest Jack as he was called, he was like a rock and roll criminal. When he met his death here, it took him hours to go along Oxford Street to come to the gallows from Newgate Prison because everybody was here trying to get to see him and greet him and yell their support. So this actually became a place of riots, of protests, of things like that, as the poor, who were supposed to be chastened and upset at the sight of these terrible people breaking the law, meeting their end, they actually used it as a form of saying, hey, we're here, and we don't always agree with everything you're saying. So as a form of resistance. So I used to teach this when I was teaching social sciences and organisational behaviour. This is called absolute power. It means you're trying to sort of cow the lower classes by terrifying them so they won't break the law. And instead it became an act of resistance. It was like a party, it was like a carnival, and in support of all of those who were supposedly ne'er-gooders, things like that. And as I said, that then kind of became the history of Speaker's Corner, that it became a place of riot and protest. And it's also actually the reason why, let me just straighten this up again a bit. There we go. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought there. Sorry about that. Straightening up the camera. Here we go. Just saying, I was going to point you in another direction actually, if you'd have a look here. So we got the Speaker's Corner coffee shop.
Nice.
Haven't actually had a coffee there.
I'm sure you have.
Maybe we should do that one day.
Should do.
What I'm pointing out over there, they're actually setting up for Winter Wonderland. So the middle of Hyde Park is actually now a building site. So if you want to walk happily through Hyde Park, enjoying the autumn colours, yeah, it's a building site as they put together Winter Wonderland. Let's go through here. Make sure. It's easy to get run over by a cyclist here, so go careful crossing here. So when people came here to witness the executions, pickpocketing was rife. They could have up to 30,000 people come to watch a hanging. 30,000 people, quite a lot of people. So it would have been absolutely ram-packed here. And if you were of the upper echelons of society, they would build sort of elevated seating so that you could actually get a better view of what was going on. And it supposedly up to 100,000 people would congregate here, and they would take up this whole area. Now, apologies, I have to temporarily... Okay, that's fine, Ibrahim, do not worry. Hello, Falcon. I'm just watching the traffic at the moment. So what I was going to say is quite a few phrases are incorrectly assigned to the gallows here. The prisoners, when they came from Newgate Prison over in the City of London, where the Old Bailey is now, they would stop along the way and have quite a large amount of alcohol at a tavern. Supposedly, Gentleman Jack, or Honest Jack, who, as I said, was a real rock star criminal. He supposedly had a pint of sherry on his way to the gallows. And some people will try to tell you that the expression one for the road, the idea of a last pint before you head off on your journey, came from here. That's unlikely to be true. Hangover is another one that's supposed to come from here. Hanging days were raucous and boozy. So some people think hangover came from these events. And money for old rope, because the executioners, they would sell off the rope afterwards. So we have the Animals in War statue here, dedicated to all the animals that served and died alongside British and Allied forces in wars and campaigns. There's a dog just through there. And we've got the donkeys as well. Sorry if I don't catch a comment. I'll try and catch all the comments as I'm going along. So you can see we're on Park Lane now, which was Tyburn Lane originally. And behind us, as we walk away from Hyde Park, that actually would have been Henry VIII's hunting grounds. And ahead of us, which is Mayfair, would actually have been nothing in particular. It would have been marshland from the Tyburn river or Tyburn stream, whatever you want to call it. So this was nothing in particular. Thank you, Ibrahim, that's so sweet, thank you. So this was just a lane, and a muddy lane at that, with Henry VIII behind and marshland ahead. And if you come to London, there's a really good chance you come along Park Lane on your bus. If you've done a red bus, tourist bus, whatever it is you've done. You've probably been along here. It's only about 0.7 miles long from Hyde Park Corner, and that's up to Marble Arch. I'll show the Aston Martin shop. There you are, top or bottom of Park Lane, depending on your point of view. And then back towards Hyde Park. And that's looking to the west then. And down there would take you straight down to Hyde Park Corner. And slowly Tyburn Lane became popular. Wealthy, distinguished men of London, aristocrats, barons and earls, started to take over Tyburn Lane and build mansions on the east side, I think probably attracted by Henry VIII and royalty sort of in this area. And slowly they added balconies, the fence came down, because there used to be a fence separating Tyburn Lane from Hyde Park. The fence came down, they got views, property values in this area started to go up. And then the Grosvenors got involved, and the Scarboroughs, I think, and thoroughly developed this area here, which just used to be farmland. Used to be nothing else but. So the Grosvenor family, they were the Dukes of they became the Dukes of Westminster actually. They had a mansion on Park Lane, sold it after the First World War, and the Grosvenor House Hotel was built. I don't know if any of you have stayed or been to the Grosvenor House Hotel. I think I've done a dance, dinner and dance or something like that once. Quite popular for that sort of entertaining. And the Grosvenor House Hotel was where Queen Elizabeth learnt to skate. And when it opened in 1929, the Grosvenor House Hotel was the first one in London to have a separate bathroom and entrance lobby for each bedroom, plus running iced water in each bathroom. It was classy. And then obviously 20th century developed into posh hotels and posh car dealerships along there. As we enter Mayfair, unwanted, muddy, swampy, nobody wanted it. It was to the west of the posh bits of London, Whitehall, Soho, Covent Garden, the city. And in 1686, King James II granted royal permission for a fair to be held on the site of Shepherd's Market. See, Mayfair. A fair in Mayfair. That's where it's got its name from, Mayfair. But Sir Richard Grosvenor and the Earl of Scarborough decided to start developing the area in the 18th century, building Grosvenor Square, where we're just about to come up to, and Hanover Square. So if I just point you there where this lorry's going, that would take you up to Oxford Street up there. We're on Park Street now, and alongside Brook Street. Now it's quite tricky to cross here. I'm going to cross anyway. So Upper Brook Street actually has a reference to the Tyburn Brook as it would have been. As I said, people call it a stream, a brook, a river, various things. And we're approaching now Grosvenor Square. If you visit London, I would always recommend just wander around Mayfair. It's just a fascinating place to wander around. It's got all sorts of these sort of classic, several hundred years old houses, and then you've got some like this that are kind of rebuilt versions. And it's just a nice place to walk and soak up the atmosphere. Now, it's an interesting phenomenon. A lot of the front door steps, so if you look down here, you can see we've got basements. And the front door steps, quite a few of them have been covered now in marble. And I can't find the boot scrapers. I love a boot scraper. When I'm out for these walks, I love to find the old houses. So here's Shepherd's Place. As I said, Shepherd's Market is actually where it all started. But that's Shepherd's Place just through there. Nice little mews location. And I'll tell you about the design of the houses that led to this sort of situation before I point you in the other direction. Now, what are we looking at here? Anyone want to guess? Yep, that is the old American Embassy, the old US Embassy on Grosvenor Square, now being rebuilt. Still looking for a boot scraper, by the way. So the Canadian High Commission used to be here as well. Hello, Canadians. And then obviously it's got a long history with the Americans. It was home to John Adams, appointed US ambassador in 1785, prior to him becoming the President of the United States. And a young, and let me just tip that up a little bit, a young John F. Kennedy lived here too, when his father, Joseph Kennedy, was the US ambassador to the UK. Yes, from a Canadian. So that's sort of what's left of it. It's being massively redeveloped now. Still looking at marble doorsteps here. Still trying to find you a boot scraper, as is my wont. And the area sort of was dubbed Little America for the density of stateside diplomats, spies, secretaries and soldiers around here. So here we are entering Grosvenor Square, and I love these squares. I think they're lovely spots, nice little wander, nose around. Now I'm going to see if I can cross over here and we can cross into the square. We were due some rain actually, right. But luckily it hasn't quite happened. So you can see the redevelopment going on here. Here we go. As usual, we got all these little maps telling us where we are and how long it's going to take to get somewhere, which I always find handy, because I get lost fairly frequently. I don't know if you have seen Bridgerton. Perhaps I could have branded the walk "See Where Bridgerton Happens," and a load of people would have turned up expecting nudity and certain types of behaviour. That would have been weird, wouldn't it, in the middle of a Halloween Tuesday in London? Anyway, this is where Bridgerton was set. It's not where it was filmed. Bridgerton actually, parts of it were filmed in my home city of Bath in the West Country and various other locations. You may have picked up, if you've watched Bridgerton, which I haven't watched Bridgerton, you may have picked up that the houses were done to a particular design. And it was fairly common around here that a particular design was used. Sorry, trying to avoid people here. And they basically had a basement, as I've been showing you, and then a really strong smell of weed.
Yeah, a really strong smell indeed.
It's a really...
Why isn't it?
I know.
I don't know what it is.
There is a very strong smell of weed following us at the moment, and
Yeah,
it's
there
nothing to do with us, mate. I promise you, it's nothing to do with
No,
us.
it isn't.
So yes, the houses were a particular type. Ground floors were reception rooms, so the sort of grand houses. Yes, I love it as well, actually, Ibrahim. I love the sort of setup of these. I love the commitment that was always there to a sort of a garden square. Yes, the weed. If it was smelly vision here, you'd be smelling something else entirely. So that's Roosevelt over there, in case you can't see. Yes, so ground floors were reception rooms. First floors were lavishly furnished entertaining rooms. And bedrooms were on the top floors. And then you had sort of basements. And they quite often give rise to the sort of cute mews places that you see. So servants' quarters were in the basement, upstairs, downstairs style. Stables at the back, exited onto mews lanes. A lot of the mews lanes these days cost an absolute fortune. That was part of the layout and design, that the below stairs types sort of exited at the back into the stables and weren't seen too much, as is the case very often. So yes, we're in the heart of Mayfair. As I said, Sir Richard Grosvenor, Earl of Scarborough, kind of developed all this. These plane trees, just pointing at a plane tree, were some of the oldest in London, planted in the 1700s. Don't know if they're the oldest. Always says amongst the oldest if I look it up. And as I said, the aristocracy moved here. I don't know if you sort of remember, if I've done a walk in Covent Garden, I've told you that things started well in Covent Garden and then went downhill. And the sort of aristocracy moved out of Covent Garden and moved west. And that's what Mayfair basically benefited from enormously, was the movement west. We had, Buckingham Palace became a social centre, all those sorts of things. And so this became the place to be. And of the initial 227 houses built here, 117 had titled owners. Dukes, duchesses, marquises, earls rivaled each other to secure the best houses and dressed them in lavish style. And as I said, by 1850, the heart of the social scene was Buckingham Palace, and the most sought after mansions were in Mayfair. Right, now look left. Okay, let's look left and cross over. Here we go. So I started this walk with gory tales of hangings and executions just off Marble Arch. And we're heading off for more ghostly tales towards the other end of this walk as we continue through Mayfair. Trying not to get run over, I'm going to cross. Here we go. Along Carlos Place. Now, I wonder who the Carlos was. Not sure. Anyone know? The gimbal's taking a liking to those buildings. There we go. Right, let's see if I can cross again. Red man. Let's cross anyway. Here we go. Down Carlos Place. Should say, by the way, Grosvenor Square, which we're obviously now just leaving, second largest garden square in central London. You can feel it as you walk across. It feels pretty large. After Russell Square. So Russell Square is the biggest garden square. Some people think it's Lincoln's Inn Fields, but Lincoln's Inn Fields is actually larger than Grosvenor Square, but it's technically an inn of court, not a garden square. So they don't quite have the public access in the same way. Let's wander down here. Now, I had a quick property search. I thought, okay, so how much does it cost to live around here? If you're lucky, you might get a 2-bedroom apartment in one of these houses. So we've got a little bit musy here along Mount Row, which is, I don't know if that was the back end of some posher houses. Let me just see if I can get over here. This is the Connaught here. I'm trying to remember, has anyone told me that you've stayed at the Connaught? Grosvenor. I know, not Grosvenor or something like that. Grosvenor. Yep, here's the Connaught. Just showing that to you. There's usually a posh car or two parked outside the Connaught. Never go past without some massive, great big thing there. This is Roland Mouret. Just having a nose at all these windows. Been so busy thinking about the history, I haven't really been staring at everything properly. It's just fascinating. That's what I mean. You know, if you come to London, apart from, you know, scaffolding, which there's scaffolding everywhere, it's always worth a nose around here. I would love to see this in the evening. So you can see we've got lights around the tree, and we've got water here as well. And I would really like to see that actually lit up. Maybe when I do a Christmas lights walk. If you're thinking about the live streams, the reason we're having a live stream today is I didn't get around to filming this walk as a video. So I'm not sort of moving over to live streams particularly. Live streams are actually quite stressful because you're always aware that things will go horribly wrong. And they usually do, don't they? At some point things go wrong on live streams. So I'm not moving to live streams as a format particularly. But today, because it's Halloween, and because I haven't had a chance to film last week for various reasons, we're here live streaming today. I'm here with Luke, and Luke literally just uploaded his own Halloween video on his YouTube channel. Yes, just did it this morning. And then we ran out the door.
Literally what after it finished from early.
Yeah.
We managed to catch the train within seconds.
Yes.
And that involved taking a bus there, which got a bit stuck near towards the end, so we had to walk the rest of the way.
Yeah, so Luke literally finished his video, uploaded it, ran out the door, and we got on a bus, got on a train, and here we are. And here's some art. Just having a look, showing about the scaffolding, but as I said, you can't walk around London without loads of scaffolding being everywhere. Alright, here we have some tables in case, I don't know, it's not quite warm enough in my opinion to sit outside. It's, what's it, about 15, 16 degrees today, something like that. Which is okay, we're in a light top and I've got a hat on for Halloween. But I wouldn't want to sit out in the evening, I don't think. Right, let's cross over here. Here we go. As we start to head towards the final end point of this walk, which is Berkeley Square. We're on Mount Street now, so yes, as I said, if you're lucky, you can get a 2-bedroom flat along here for about £1,000 a week. Yep, £1,000 a week. Berkeley Square, you'd probably be looking at £1,500 a week. So yeah, not cheap to get accommodation around here. Right, let's just see if we can cross as we arrive at Berkeley Square. Oh, we're having lunch together, that's nice. Thank you. Hey Michelle, lovely to see you. So nice to hear from you. Really nice to hear from you. Right, Berkeley Square, we are here. We are here at Berkeley Square. Kind of used to be the jewel in the crown, one of the many jewels in the crown of London living. And look at it now. I mean, this is really, I'm really sorry. This had better be good when it's finished. Seriously, look at the state of that. This is so ugly. So I really, really hope, because this was very fine townhouses, Regency living, all that sort of thing. And it's not quite the same now as it used to be. It's a bit different, and it's sort of office buildings, hedge funds, managers, things like that. And if you have a look at the fronts, you know, it's very, very different to the Berkeley Square it would have been in the past. I don't know if any of you read P.G. Wodehouse, Jeeves and Wooster. But yes, Jeeves and Wooster was based here actually. Supposedly Bertie Wooster lived in Berkeley Mansions, I think, in Berkeley Square before we moved to America. And as you can see, you've got fairly modern frontages here. At one point you would have said it's surrounded by grand townhouses, but as you can see there's very little left of that these days. If you look over there you can see Ferrari. Oh, you're on call today, Michelle. Good. Glad I can entertain you while you're doing that. So I see Ferrari over there. Don't know whether to cross over. I might get a better view or not. They're messing around in the square at the moment, which is a shame. So it's not looking that good. I'm so glad we went into Grosvenor Square, which is nicer. Right, here's Hill Street. One of the cutest streets along here, trying to not get in everybody's way.
They went back
Just showing you along there. There's a nice looking pub along there as well. Right, let's just decide where to go. Hold on, I'm going to cross. As we approach the pinnacle of terror, the most haunted house in London, maybe at a certain point in its history. Maybe not anymore. Doubt it is. And I'm not sure I believe all those stories anyway. So let's cross over to the middle. Here we go. Pointing again at the Ferrari dealership. And as you can see, there's work going on here. I'm sure it'll be great when it's finished. I don't know what they're doing. I wish I did, but I don't. I'm sure it'll be lovely when it's finished. So the reason the ghostly, ghoulish, gory walk ends here is because of number 50. Number 50, Berkeley Square. Mid-terrace, 4-storey townhouse, once home to former Prime Minister George Canning. Also home to Clive of India, looking at that there. But not number 50, that's number 45, I should say. So number 50, Berkeley Square, which we're approaching now, so many stories of hauntings in this house. And in 1913, it was claimed it's not haunted anymore, and we don't need to keep calling it the most haunted house in London. My view is there's a fair bit of urban legend around a lot of the stories of haunting at number 50. Now there's number 47, which you might have believed was a haunted house. Let's tilt it up slightly. I'll just tilt the camera up slightly for you. Okay, here we go. Commonly at number 50, which is, see the grey one, and then next to it is a bluish grey house. That's number 50. I'll just straighten up a little bit. There you go. That's number 50. Okay. And you hear a lot about a Mr. Myers, who is claimed to have haunted the building, although apparently he got let off his taxes because it was already haunted. Fuzzy picture. Okay, sorry about that. Probably connection of the point in the square. I can see a plane over there as well. I don't think that's messing around with the signal. So here we are at number 50, okay, and it says there that George Canning, former Prime Minister, once lived there. So the mysterious Mr. Myers lived in there. He was broken-hearted that he was jilted by his fiancée, and after that became a recluse, living in the house, but lived only in the attic and wandered the halls at night by candlelight. And supposedly people who have lived there since claim they have seen him wandering the passages. There have also been numerous incidents in number 50. Oh yes, numerous. Tenants have said there's a putrid smell. There is the presence of an ominous spirit. And some say they have seen Mr. Myers wandering about. Now, also full of poltergeists. Poltergeist activity galore, apparently, in this one. And there's an awful lot of stories about the attic. There's supposedly the ghost of a little girl, tragically murdered by a servant, is in the attic. A man was locked in the attic until he went mad and died. A maid experienced a sinister encounter in the attic, which turned her mad and forced her into an asylum where she died. It's haunted as well by a tortured spirit of a young woman who committed suicide. That could be the same young woman of one of the previous tales. So basically the attic here is supposed to have vast amounts of things going on. on top of which a sailor is said to have tripped and fell to his death, fleeing in terror from an unknown horror residing in the house. And another tale is of a murderous unnamed thing responsible for several deaths. Peculiarly repulsive ghost lives in one of the bedrooms as a shapeless, slithering mass. So all this is going on in number 50. Just straighten up the camera for you a little bit there. And supposedly a young army officer volunteered to spend a night there and ended up shooting himself. There you go, a last look at number 50. So terrible ghostly goings on in what was called the most haunted house in London. Charles Harper's book, Haunted Houses, published in 1913, says it's probably not haunted anymore, and more to the point, he thinks that the house was never haunted and that the ghost stories were invented by a popular novelist. Is it true? Isn't it true? We do not know, do we? So it's probably the price of £1,500 a week rent that are causing people to become horrified. Right, let's walk through the square. I'm just going to finish off the walk here. Let's walk around the edge actually. Have a nose around the edge. So you can see this used to be Georgian and Regency and all types of things, townhouses. And it's now just been rebuilt as offices, which, you know, doesn't quite have the same ambience, does it? So if you want to find a nice square, Berkeley Square, the famous Berkeley Square, might not be the place for you anymore. Oh. Pigeons flying over. Sorry pigeons, I don't know what you're doing there. Makes a change, doesn't it? So, anyway, I think I'm going to end the walk here and finish off our Halloween walk from the gore of the Tyburn Gallows and the Tyburn tree at Marble Arch to the ghostly happenings just over there at number 50 Berkeley Square. And that really is the only side of the square that actually still looks like the square you might have expected in you know, your sort of mind when you were picturing a square in London of the Regency era. For sure. Anyway, I will sign off now, I think, pointing you at Ferrari. For no particular reason. Why would I point you at Ferrari? Let's not do that. Let's point you at the square instead. Okay. So I'm going to wish you all a happy Halloween. We had a Halloween party last night.
It was amazing.
Yeah, we're making pumpkin soup tonight, and yeah, I hope you all have a Halloween. There we go. Hello. And thank you for coming. Those who turned up, I really appreciate you coming to the walk. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned some little things. As I said, do come around Mayfair, it's lovely. It's lovely to see you all. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you, Falcon. Really appreciate you coming. And we will see you next time. Bye. And I'm going to press a stop button now.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween. Bye.
Goodbye.